My name is Lauren, and I was 32 years old when I learned that trusting your own brother can feel like swallowing glass. It took me months to admit that to myself. You don't realize how deep the cuts are until you finally stop pretending you're okay. Let me take you back to the last morning I still believed the people I loved were safe. March 12th. A Tuesday. My mom, Diane, had this thing she did for basically my whole adult life. Every single morning at 6:15 a.m., my phone would light up with her face. Same time. Every day. Even on holidays. Even when she was sick. She'd been doing it since my dad passed away 5 years earlier. She said it kept her grounded. If I know you're awake, she'd tell me, then the world feels smaller. So when 6:15 came and went on that Tuesday, I didn't panic. I figured maybe she slept in. Maybe the nursing home had a late breakfast. She was 78. That happens sometimes. 6:30 came. Nothing. By 7 o'clock, the silence didn't feel normal anymore. I'd texted her 3 times and called twice. No answer. And that's when this cold little thing started crawling up my spine. Like when you're home alone and you hear a floorboard creak from a room where nobody should be standing. I called my brother, Mark. Mark and I have history. He's 2 years older. Always been the golden child in that quiet, manipulative way. The one who stayed in our small Ohio town while I moved to Chicago for work. The one who sacrificed everything for family while I chased a career. Here's the thing that still messes with me though. When Dad died, sudden heart attack, gone before the ambulance even arrived, Mark was the one who held me together at the funeral. I fell apart in the parking lot afterward, sobbing so hard I couldn't stand up. And he just held me. Didn't say a word. Just let me cry into his jacket for 20 minutes. Monsters aren't monsters all the time. That's why part of me kept wanting to believe him. Anyway, he picked up on the second ring, which should have been my first red flag. Mark never picks up on the second ring. He lets it go to voicemail so he can gather his thoughts. "Hey, Lore," he said, real casual. "What's up? Mom didn't call this morning. She always calls. Did something happen?" There was this pause. Just long enough to feel wrong. Then he laughed softly. "She's fine. You know, Mom? Probably just tired. The nursing home had a bingo night yesterday. Wore her out. Can you check on her?" "Lauren, I was just there yesterday. She's good. I told you, I put her in the best place money could buy. You worry too much." And that was his favorite weapon. "You worry too much." Made me feel like I was the problem. The dramatic one who abandoned everybody and then had the nerve to ask questions. Looking back, I should have noticed something else. After Mom sold the house, Mark suddenly stopped complaining about money. He used to call me every few months stressed about bills. Then, right around the time he started handling Mom's finances, the complaints just stopped. I didn't think anything of it back then. I was just relieved he wasn't asking me for help anymore. So I let it go. Day 1 passed. Then day 2. Then day 3. No calls from Mom. Not one. I texted her every morning. Left voicemails. Called the nursing home front desk 3 separate times. Each time, some woman with a tired voice said, "Oh, she's resting right now. Can I take a message?" I asked to talk to my brother's contact person there. They said they'd call me back. They never did. Mark kept texting me updates. Photos, supposedly. Mom eating pudding. Mom watching TV. Mom in a clean little room with flowers on the windowsill. But something about the photos felt off. Too clean. Too carefully framed. Like he was hiding everything outside the frame. And I remembered something my mom told me years ago, back when we were still close. She said, "Lauren, if I ever stop calling, don't let Mark explain it away. Come find me." At the time, I told myself she was just scared of getting older. But on the morning of day 4, I couldn't shake the feeling anymore. I called my boss, said I had a family emergency, and got in my car. For hours from Chicago to that little town in Ohio. I didn't tell Mark. Didn't tell anyone. The whole drive, I kept telling myself I was crazy. That I'd walk in, see Mom laughing at some game show, and feel stupid. The second I saw the building, I knew Mark had lied. Golden Meadows Assisted Living. Broken sign. Weeds cracking through the asphalt. An overflowing dumpster with stained linens hanging over the side. The front door held together with duct tape. I sat in my car for 3 minutes just breathing. Then I walked inside. The smell hit me first. Not the clean antiseptic smell you get in a good place. This was stale. Sour. Like old food and sweat. The woman at the front desk looked up at me. Exhausted. But the second I said my mother's name, something in her expression tightened. I'm here to see Diane Harris. Room 118. I'm her daughter. She didn't say anything for a long second. Then she swallowed and pointed down a dark hallway. Second door on the left. I didn't ask for an escort. I just walked. The hallway had maybe 2 overhead lights working, both flickering. Every door I passed was closed. No sounds. No TVs. No laughter. Just this heavy silence. Room 118. The door had a small smudged window. I looked through it before I opened it. My mother was lying in a bed pushed against the far wall. The room was dim except for a sliver of daylight cutting through torn blinds. She was curled on her side, facing away from the door. Her gown was stained. Grayish-white. Not the soft pink one she loved. I opened the door. "Mom?" She didn't move at first. Then slowly, painfully slow, she turned her head. And I saw her face. Dehydrated. Hollowed out. Dark pressure marks near both wrists, like someone had gripped her too hard. She tried to pull the thin blanket up to her chin when she realized who I was. Her lips were cracked. Her eyes were wet. And then she whispered something that is still, to this day, the worst thing I have ever heard. She said, "I thought you forgot about me too." I stood in the doorway of room 118 and I couldn't breathe. That's when I looked to her bedside table. No water cup. No call button. No phone. Just a taped up piece of cardboard where the call button used to be, with one word written in faded marker. Broken. And behind me, I heard footsteps. Fast. Like someone running to stop me from seeing more. But here's the thing I didn't know yet, something that would unravel over the next 72 hours. My brother hadn't abandoned my mother. He'd hidden her. The footsteps behind me got closer. I turned around. A nurse, maybe 50, dirty scrubs, name tag that said Marla, stopped about 3 feet away. She was out of breath, like she'd ran from somewhere. Her eyes started between me and my mother's door. "You're not supposed to be back here without an escort," she said. "I'm her daughter. I don't need an escort." Marla shifted her weight, looked down the hallway, then back at me. "Visiting hours are almost over. It's 2 p.m. She didn't have an answer for that. So she just stood there, waiting. That's when I noticed her hands were shaking. Not from fear of me. From fear of what I might find. I didn't leave. I pulled up a plastic chair next to my mother's bed and sat down. Marla eventually walked away. But I could feel the whole facility holding its breath. That night, I didn't go to a hotel. I slept in my car in the parking lot. February in Ohio. Cold enough that I had to run the engine every hour just to keep the windows from frosting over inside. Every few hours, I'd walk back in and check on my mother. Same dark room. Same stained gown. Same missing call button. Around 3 a.m., I watched a night shift worker yank another resident out of bed by one arm. The woman cried out. The worker didn't even look at her face. I sat in my car until sunrise, shaking. And that's when I decided I wasn't going to pull my mother out yet. Not immediately. Because if I did, nobody would believe what I'd seen. Mark would say I was exaggerating. The facility would deny everything. I needed proof. So I drove to an electronics store an hour away, bought a small hidden camera disguised as a phone charger, and went back to room 118. I installed it that afternoon while my mother slept. Tucked it behind the bedside table, pointed at her bed and the door. Tested it 3 times to make sure the angle was right. Then I went back to Chicago. Told my boss I needed 1 more week. Didn't tell anyone else. For the next 72 hours, I watched footage from my laptop in my apartment. Alone. At night. Sometimes with the lights off, because I couldn't stand to see my own face reflected in the screen. The first night was mostly quiet. Nurses walking past. One stopped to check my mother's vitals rough, fast, like she was late for something. Another unplugged the call button that wasn't even connected. But the second night? That's when I got what I came for. 2:14 a.m. The door opened. I leaned closer to my screen. It wasn't a nurse. It was Mark. He walked in without knocking. Didn't turn on the light. Just stood at the foot of my mother's bed, watching her breathe. Then he pulled out his phone. The light from the screen lit up his face and started scrolling through something. Documents. Financial documents. My mother stirred. Groaned. Mark. He didn't soften his voice. Didn't sit down next to her. Mom, I need you to sign something. It's just a permission form for the new medication they want to try. She blinked at him in the dark. Confused. Weak. I don't remember any new medication. Because I just talked to the doctor today. It's fine. Just sign here. He held out a pen. No explanation. No paperwork for her to read. Just a signature line on a page he kept angled away from the camera. And my mother, exhausted, dehydrated, barely conscious, signed. Mark left 3 minutes later. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't ask if she was okay. I rewatched that clip 17 times. Then I called a lawyer. The money trail took another week to unravel. The lawyer, a woman named Patricia who specialized in elder fraud, pulled bank records, facility contracts, and Mark's financial statements. What she found made me throw up in my kitchen sink. Mark had been transferring money from my mother's savings account for 18 months. Not thousands. Hundreds of thousands. The house sale from when my dad died. Her pension. Her social security. All of it rerouted into an account with only Mark's name on it. Golden Meadows cost $3,000 a month. Mark told me it was $8,000. He pocketed the difference. The best nursing home money could buy was actually the cheapest facility within 50 miles. I sat on that information for 9 days. Patricia advised me not to confront Mark. Not yet. She said we needed to build a case that couldn't be denied. So I gathered everything. The hidden camera footage. The bank records. Photos of the facility. Testimony from 2 former employees who reached out after they heard someone was asking questions. And I made copies. 6 copies. Sent them to Patricia, to the state health department, to a local news reporter I'd found through a friend, and to Mark's employer. That last one? That was Patricia's idea. Let his reputation fall first, she said. Then the rest will follow. The exposure happened on a Thursday. The state inspector showed up at Golden Meadows unannounced. Patricia had filed a complaint with 27 pages of evidence attached. I drove back to Ohio that morning, walked into the facility, and waited in the lobby. Mark didn't know I was there. He'd been called to an emergency family meeting by the facility director, who was also facing charges. When he walked through the front door and saw me sitting there, his face went completely blank. Not surprised. Not guilty. Blank. Like his brain was rebooting. Lauren, what's going on? I didn't answer. The meeting was held in a conference room down the hall. Facility director. 2 state inspectors. Patricia. Me. And Mark. Patricia spoke first. Laid out the timeline. The money transfers. The fake nursing home costs. The facility's abuse reports. Then she opened her laptop and played the video. 2:14 a.m. Mark standing in the dark. My mother barely conscious. His voice saying, "Just sign here." Mark didn't watch the screen. He watched me. "You recorded me?" Someone had to. The facility director tried to speak. The inspectors cut her off. One of them, a woman with gray hair and tired eyes, looked at Mark and said, "We're recommending charges be filed. Elder financial exploitation. Fraud. Abuse by a trusted person." Mark stood up so fast his chair hit the wall behind him. "I was helping her. I was trying. You were stealing from her." Patricia's voice was ice. "And you put her somewhere she couldn't call for help." He looked at me one more time. His jaw was shaking. "She was going to leave everything to you," he said. "You were gone. You weren't even here. I deserved. That's the part you still don't get." I stood up. "Mom's still alive. And she's going to remember everything you did." 3 arrests happened that week. 2 facility workers for neglect and falsifying medical records. And Mark? He wasn't arrested immediately, but his employer fired him within 48 hours. His wife left him 3 days later. By the time the grand jury indicted him on fraud charges, He'd already lost his house, his reputation, and everyone who ever trusted him. The lawsuit Patricia filed got my mother's money back. Not all of it, but enough. Golden Meadows was shut down permanently. The residents were transferred to a real facility, one I visited before signing anything. The last time I saw Mark was at the courthouse. He looked smaller than I remembered. Shoulders slumped. Eyes empty. "Can you ever forgive me?" he asked. I thought about the parking lot at Dad's funeral. The way he'd held me. The 20 minutes of silence while I cried into his jacket. "I don't know," I said. "But Mom gets to decide that. Not me." My mother testified at his sentencing. She was stronger by then, gained back 15 pounds, color in her cheeks, her voice steady. She looked at her oldest son from the witness stand and said, "You buried me alive while I was still breathing. But I'm the one who gets to walk out of here." Mark got 4 years. He's served 2 so far. My mother turned 80 last spring. We celebrated in her new apartment, clean, bright, a working call button on the bedside table. She called me at 6:15 the next morning. Same time. Every day. Some things, even betrayal can't take from you.